What's up, guys? Player One here, and today my girlfriend and I are going to be ranking all 23 Pixar movies. This was really hard to do because most of the movies are really good or pretty decent, and it's pretty hard to rank these movies, especially if you've watched all 23 of them. It's very difficult because a lot of them are just really good. So we're both going to start out with our 23s and then our 22s and so on. We're going to try and keep it brief so this video is not as long as the Pixar movie itself.
Yeah.
So let's just start out with our 23. You want to go first?
Sure. My 23 is Cars 2, because that's pretty self-explanatory. It was basically just a Mater movie.
Yeah.
That they...
Yeah, it was like it was a spy movie.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it was just a cash grab for Mater.
Yeah,
they
really
made a
was.
movie off of a side character, which is just kind of... They didn't need to do that, because I would have rather they kept it centered around Lightning and winning against that Francesco guy.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
every time they showed stuff about that, it was way more interesting than whatever Mater was doing, whatever the spy crap. And the movie started out weird. So
yeah, just the whole intro scene of just spy stuff that we didn't even know.
And we didn't even know these characters. I'm like, who is this guy and why should I care about him?
Yeah.
But my 23 is Cars 3. I hate that movie. It's really the only Pixar movie I hate, really, a lot. I hate it. I went to go see it, and honestly, when I watched it again, just to refresh my memory on it, I didn't hate it as much. But I think it was mainly because the first time I watched it, I was so angry about it that I just said it's the worst movie ever. It's not the worst movie ever. Birdemic gets that spot.
Yeah, my gosh.
We watched that one too. Right after we watched freaking Coco or something. I don't remember what it was.
One of the best movies in that.
Don't spoil the list.
I'm sorry. I said one of.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh. Cars 3, they center around this Cruz Martinez girl. And I understand why they did it. It was a movie that came out in 2017, and, women empowerment, which is fine and everything, but I saw another good idea online that somebody else said that they were instead of having this cruise girl or whatever, they could have Lightning trains her or mentors her or whatever. Lightning and Sally had a kid or something that was a girl, and he trained her, and then she became a racer. Because at least she'd be a race car.
Yeah, or just make her a race car to make it make more sense.
Yeah, something like that. Or she's an actual race car who's a huge fan of Lightning, has always wanted to race or whatever. And then he trains her. Or something like that. That would have been a lot better. But I really do hate Cars 3. It's a terrible movie. Just the whole ending sequence with her flipping over the guy and winning the race was so stupid. And the fact that they both won is so dumb. We're 3 minutes in, and we're only on the first one. So let's move on to 22.
And that's exactly why Cars 2 is my 22.
You mean Cars 3?
I said Cars 2 is my 22. No, wait, Cars... Yes, I'm stupid. Cars... Yes. I was looking at your list and thinking, what... Yeah, Cars 3 is my 22.
Yeah. For the same reasons?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Mm-hmm.
Alright then. Cars 2 is my 22. Yeah, basically for the same reasons. It's a dumb spy movie, centered around Mater, and it's not really that funny at all. And they kind of just didn't really involve all the old characters from the original movie, which was disappointing. So I didn't like the movie. It's not as bad as Cars 3. It didn't anger me as much as Cars 3 did. It was just kind of, I was like, man, that wasn't a really good movie at all. But after this point, I think there's not really any more bad movies, really.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
These next few are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get into the real good later. What is your 21?
Mine's The Good Dinosaur, which The reason why is the story is not that good. It's pretty good. It just gets kind of like, I feel like it drags on way too much. It was like an hour and 40-minute movie or something like that.
I don't remember.
I feel like it could have been just like an hour.
I think it was like an hour 33.
Yeah.
But there were so many sequences in the movie where they were just staring at each other, and I'm like, man, you could have lowered this movie by like a half hour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or at least it felt like it dragged on way too long. And I felt like the problems that they got themselves into were kind of avoidable. They were definitely avoidable. Definitely. So it was just like, it was fine. It was about a dinosaur who, was smaller than his siblings and was scared of everything. So and he had to get over his fears.
Yeah, basically.
Because he was scared of lightning bugs for whatever reason. He was a freaking
dinosaur. You got over that fear really quick, though.
Yeah, but still. That's kind of stupid. He's a big dinosaur, and he's scared of a little bug that can't do anything to him. Anyways, what is my 21? I don't even remember. My 21 is A Bug's Life. I know I'm going to make a lot of people angry with that one because A Bug's Life is a really popular one, and a lot of lists has it higher. I just didn't really think it was that interesting. And I felt like it kind of flew by, too. That was the thing. It kind of flew by, and having all these circus bugs, like, save them from the grasshoppers, saving the ants from the grasshoppers was kind of, I don't know, just kind of dumb. And after the movie was over, I kind of forgot what happened. Yeah. Like, it was just so forgettable for me. So, yeah. It was just kind of boring, honestly. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily, like, really bad or anything. It was fine. It was just it's not memorable for me. What'd you do?
I'm good.
Just hit done.
I did. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Did you say you're 21?
I know. Yeah, Good Dinosaur is my 21.
Okay. So
and my 20 is A Bug's Life for those kind of reasons. I just feel like the story was more interesting than A Good Dinosaur. That's why I put it above it. I
promise you, our list will not be one after another pretty soon. It's. I promise. So 19.
Well, you're 20.
Oh. My 20 is The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah. Now we're gonna stop being one after another.
Yeah, right?
I think.
No.
Kind of.
Because do you have those two next to each other? What's that?
My next one is Monsters Inc. I mean, Monsters University, not Monsters Inc. Goodness.
At 19.
Yeah. Just because, I don't know. I feel like it was weird they put the sequel after the original movie.
You mean the prequel?
The prequel, not the sequel. Goodness, the prequel.
Well, I mean, how could you make a sequel?
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, I feel like honestly, when I was a kid, I was like, I want a sequel, not a prequel. But now that I think about it, like, what would they have made a sequel out of?
Yeah, that's true.
They couldn't really do anything out of it. Like, the problem is solved. They use it for laughs now. It's laugh energy instead of scare energy.
I feel like they really didn't need to make the prequel, though.
Yeah, it was just kind of unnecessary, really. Yeah.
I liked it. It's just not the best. I feel like they just did it just to do it. I don't know.
All right, what was my... What were we on? 19. I'm so confused 19. On what we're on. Finding Nemo. I'm waiting for the hate comments. Take your time. I can wait.
Explain your reason.
All right. Finding Nemo is fine. All right. It's not a bad movie. The characters are not bad. There's nothing wrong with the story. I just think it's kind of basic, if that makes any sense. It's a rescue story about Marlin, Nemo's dad, saving him from captivity. He got captured by going into deeper water, and then they had to save him from being given to a different owner who had a history of being a bad owner. It was a good movie. It was funny, and it was charming, and it was... I can understand if you'd watch it as a little kid. It's nostalgic and everything. That's fine. I think my problem is I didn't really watch it as a kid. This is pretty much, I think I did, but I don't really remember it. And this is honestly my first time really like seeing it. And just was kind of meh for me. It didn't make me say afterwards like, wow, that was really good. I'm gonna watch that again. It just didn't. So, yeah.
Yeah. And my 18 is Finding Nemo too for those exact reasons. It's nostalgic because I watched it as a kid, but like it's not a fine movie.
It's not as good as you remember.
No, definitely not.
Maybe it's more for little kids, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's for little kids more.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Finding Dory is my 18. A lot of people would say, why would you put Finding Dory above Finding? I just think Dory is a more interesting character than Nemo. Yeah. Honestly, the fact that she's got that short-term memory loss and that like affects the story is really interesting, and how she slowly, gets how she slowly becomes better at remembering things. Dory's a pretty funny character, charismatic character. Nemo's just kind of a sweet, cute little fish. And like I said, Finding Nemo is fine, but Finding Dory I just think is funnier. I think it's a more interesting story. I think Dory is a more interesting character. And she was in Finding Nemo, and they're all the same characters. It's pretty much Finding Dory is pretty much what happens right after Finding Nemo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a direct sequel. And I just personally like it more. Go ahead.
Yeah. Mine's Finding Dory for 17 because I just like it more. I like the story more.
17.
Yeah.
All right. I have a lot of controversial spots here. My 17 is Up. Man, I'm making a lot of people mad.
Well, mine's Finding Nemo's not any better. It's just one more up.
I know, but yeah, 17 is Up for me. I feel like what saves it from being lower is that the story is more unique. How often, you see a picture of a house with balloons above it and it's in the air, you're going to think of Up.
Yeah,
immediately.
Definitely.
You're going to think of Up. You can tell what that is if it was a silhouette. Up is iconic for that, and of course the first 10 minutes, everyone says it's the saddest 10 minutes of any movie ever, but it didn't make me cry.
Yeah, that movie made me cry once. Just once.
Just once, and it wasn't even in the first 10 minutes. It was at some other point when he was looking, when
he was looking at the image of
when Mr. Fredricksen, what was it, Carl Fredricksen?
Yeah.
When he was looking at the photos of him and his wife.
Yeah.
That was the point you cried.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, because I'm not a little baby. But no. But yeah, I've got it up at 17. I remember watching it as a kid and loving it. But watching it again, not as good as I remember. It is still a good movie. Keep in mind at this point for me, let me look at it. Yeah, pretty much every movie after this is good. And the only reason Up is this low is, because it's not as good as I remember. But it is still very good. It's just very hard to rank a ton of movies that are just definitely so good. So a spot at 17 is not necessarily bad. Mm-hmm. It just means that Pixar's that good.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got Up at 17, because I just didn't like it as much as these other 16 movies. And it's just because those movies are so good. So, yeah. Go ahead, baby.
My 16 is Brave, which I thought it'd be much lower, but when I watched it again with you, it generally surprised me how good it was.
Yeah.
It surprised me with that.
Yeah. Anything else to say about it?
I don't think so.
Okay. My 16 is Inside Out. The story to me is unique as well. Like having all the emotions in a person's head, and how things, how the emotions not being there can really affect the person that they're in, and like, all the islands falling apart and just everything like that, and having to get back to that point and fix everything, is very interesting, and showing that sadness is necessary at the end. And you're not, I feel like Joy in the movie was kind of, she didn't really understand the fact that like sadness is needed, and kind of made her an outcast. But you need sadness, because if you're not sad, if a person's not sad, you're not a person. You're not human if you're not ever sad once in a while. If a family member dies, what are you gonna do? Not be sad? Of course you're gonna be sad. And it really shows in the end when, what was her name?
The girl?
The girl, yeah, what was her name? I don't remember. There's so
many.
I
watched it like a few days ago. So
I know there's
so many movies.
There's so many movies and so many names we have to remember. It's really hard. Yeah. But she runs away from home, runs away from her family because they had to move from where do they live now? New Jersey or something, or
San Francisco?
San Francisco.
Yes.
From Minnesota. They lived in Minnesota before. And she wanted to run away from home at the very end, and because everything was just falling apart, because Joy and Sadness weren't there to help everything, and she ran away from home, and she came back, and Sadness helped her remember that of all the core memories from her life, and they put it in a sadness. It had Sadness do it. So she would remember the memories in a sad way, and it would make her realize that, what she did was dumb. And she cries, but it's a good thing, because in the end she becomes happier and she's closer with her family. And I just think for that reason it was a really good movie, not showing that it's okay to, be sad every once in a while. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly normal and human. So yeah, we gotta hurry up because this is taking way too long.
Yeah, okay. My 15 is Incredibles. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's just, I thought it was better than I remember, but I'm just not a huge fan of superhero movies, so that's why it's not as high.
Gotcha. 15 for me is Brave. It's, again, like she said, it was way better than I remember. I like the medieval setting. I've always liked the medieval setting, whether it's in movies or in video games. I love that stuff. I'm just so fascinated about it. It's not necessarily historically accurate, but that's fine. Merida is a really, a really cool character. That one of those strong female characters. And the thing that has it lower, the thing that I don't really care so much for, I like the beginning part where she wants to defy her, not obey her mother, and she doesn't want to get married to some person she doesn't know because she's royalty. She doesn't want to be royalty. She just wants to do archery and be free. And her mother is very strict about it, and I like that whole thing about standing up for herself, and not wanting to get married at her age, and wanting to have her freedom. I like that, because I bet in that time not a lot of princesses did that in real life. So I like that story. But then afterwards there was the whole potion thing, and her mother turning into a bear, and it was just very bizarre, and it kind of lost me about halfway through. I just kind of got a little distracted, and I didn't really pay as much attention. It kind of lost me a little bit. But in the end, it was a very good ending. The potion wore off, or they did the right thing, because the longer she was a bear, the more of a beast she would become. Mm-hmm. She would have the strength of 10 men. And eventually that ended up being, going away at the very last moment, and her mom was back, and everything was happy. And so the beginning part was really good, and then towards the middle it kind of was and then at the very end it was really good. And that's why it's kind of a middle of the road movie for me. But it is a lot better than I remember as a kid because I've only watched it once and it was when it came out. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Okay, my 14 is Incredibles 2. I thought it was pretty. I thought it was better than Incredibles 1 just because we got to see the baby and his powers, and the story was just better. Seeing how they got superheroes to be actually being able to fight again.
Yeah, I like that too. Number 14 for me. That's where we're on, right?
Yep.
Monsters University. You already had that on your list.
Yeah, lower. I had it at 19.
Monsters University was a little higher for me than it was for her. Again, I think a prequel was better than a sequel for this case. So they made a good decision there, but I don't think that the movie was really necessarily... I don't think it was very necessary. It shows them going to university and everything, and it just felt like... I don't know. It just felt all unnecessary in the end because they were doing the scare program or the scare games or whatever just to stay in the university. And Sully rigged it so Mike could do really good. Mm-hmm. And, it just proved that he's not really that scary. And then he had to leave the university, but then they had to become became like trash guys or something at Monsters, Inc. Mm-hmm. Or newspaper guys or something. I don't know. And then they just worked their way up in the company.
Yeah, so it didn't really matter in the
end. Why did they need to go to the university if they could have just gotten the job in the first place and worked their way up?
Yeah.
But it did show us how they met, so I do like that. And how smart Mike is about all that Scream stuff, and how Sully was a jerk at first, and then they slowly became closer and closer, mm-hmm. and I like that because Mike and Sully have such a good dynamic. They fit very well together in a movie. They need each other. It just works very well. I was going to say something else, but I feel like this really didn't deserve to be a movie, if that makes any sense. It was good, but I don't feel like it deserved to be a movie. And I feel like if this was like a TV movie or something, it would have been a very nice surprise. But it's like, it could be considered one of the best TV movies or something. Or like some Disney Plus exclusive if Disney Plus was around at the time. Mm-hmm. But coming out as a full-on like theater movie, I don't know if it really needed to be.
Yeah.
But it's still good. I still liked it.
Okay, my 13 was up. I feel like it was more nostalgic for me than it was for you. I feel like I like the story better than you do, just in general. But yeah, I still really like the movie.
Up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 13 for me is The Incredibles. We just watched The Incredibles 1 and 2 today, so these are the most recent movies we watched. And I never seen Incredibles before. Never seen Incredibles, which is weird because I love superhero movies. All things Marvel and DC. I've seen all the Avengers movies and all the Justice League and Batman and Superman, everything. And I've never seen Incredibles. It just never looked very interesting to me. I did really like Incredibles 1. Very good movie. They were a normal family, and they had to not use their powers because being a superhero is illegal. But in the end, at the end of the second movie at least, being a superhero is not legal anymore, so that's good. I don't really have much else to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, my 12 is Inside Out, which I think it was better than I remember because I only seen it once when I went to go see it in theaters. But I like to see the emotions that went on inside her head. It was really, I liked the movie a
lot. 12 is Incredibles 2. It's a direct sequel to the first Incredibles. It pretty much takes place right afterwards. and in this movie, it's more of a thing of being a superhero is illegal, and they have to be normal, and they lose their house and stuff like that, and they have to live in a motel, and then there's a pretty much like a billionaire guy who pretty much he helps them make being a superhero legal again. So there's that, and Elastigirl is the main focus in this movie because she was the one that she was the one doing mainly these missions, and Mr. Incredible was at home or at this house that the billionaire gave them, just watching after the kids and just being a dad for the first 3/4 of this movie, and then she kind of comes and helps, and then they're all helping, and yeah, I really liked both Incredibles movies, both really good.
Okay, I didn't realize we have the same 11. Onward.
Oh, we both have Onward at 11.
I didn't realize that.
I really liked Onward because it was, yes, it's like that road trip kind of story, which, I mean, is kind of lazy, but I really like the world of Onward. Mm-hmm. It's big world. I think Onward is one of the better movies that I've seen lately that is did really good on world building, which is cool. So,
yeah.
And just all the characters are very likable in this movie, and even the mom is pretty cool in the movie. The two brothers, the older brother is the one who loves all the magic and stuff, but he doesn't have the powers. His little brother does, and he doesn't really know how it works, but his older brother is helping him, figure all the stuff out because he knows it very well. And basically their dad is gone, he died, and they find a spell that would make it so he could come back to life, but he comes back as half a body, and they only have 24 hours to get the rest of his body up before he's gone again. And they have to find a certain crystal, because the first one only got him half of his body, but they have to find another crystal far, far away, and get that in time before their dad is gone permanently. So, in the end, they do get it. They do get the stone. And if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but even though we've spoiled most of the movies anyway.
Yeah, basically.
So it doesn't matter.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert, 27 minutes in.
Yep.
But yeah, it is a pretty darn good movie, and the little brother is I want to see my dad because I never had, that fatherly figure raising me. But then he realizes that his older brother was that figure for him in his life. And they show all the times where his brother showed him how to ride a bike and all that kind of stuff. And so he even though, his older brother had actually remembers their dad, and the little brother really doesn't. In the end, the older brother does talk to the dad, and the little brother doesn't get a chance because he's buried under rubble. So I do really like that movie. It is a tearjerker. I got very close to crying. My eyes started to water, especially at the very end when he saw his dad, and then he faded away. That was really sad. But yeah. What do you have to say about it?
It's a very good movie. I like it a lot.
It is a very good movie. It was one of the first movies that we watched in our marathon.
Well, we didn't even know we were going to do a marathon before. I just made you watch it because I liked it.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is a really good movie. It's going to be pretty high. If we made a Pixar list, it'd be pretty high. And it is.
We decided to make one.
Yeah, and then we decided to make one pretty much right after that. Moving on. We got to hurry. We got to carry this along. Number 10.
Mine is Toy Story. Honestly, before I watched Toy Story, I used to not like it.
Yeah.
I never really gave Toy Story a chance, but now I really do like it.
I told her she needed to give Toy Story a chance.
And I did.
Because they're all good.
They are.
And what did I say? They're all good, and she liked all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
You know.
It's just a good story.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's getting uncomfortable, okay? I've been holding it up here for like 30 minutes. My 10 is Soul. I do really like the story of, I didn't even remember his name now. But...
Oh, shoot, yeah.
The main character,
yeah,
he's very musical, and he wants to become a famous musician and like achieve his dream of that. But then right before he gets his big break, he dies, and he goes to the great beyond, they call it. But then he escapes and he goes to the great before, which is where personalities of people are before they're born or
just
whatever.
Like souls.
They're just like souls of other people who are alive, and they're like their personalities and stuff. And so he needs to get back into his body to become to achieve his dream. And when he finally gets the chance, the Soul 22, his little sidekick who's following him along, falls into the body of, he falls into the body of a cat, and she falls into the body of him, and she's never been to Earth and never been in she's a soul, but she's never been in a body before because she didn't get her Earth pass. If you've never seen this movie, this doesn't make any sense to you. So you have to see this movie to understand, because it's kind of complicated and weird.
That's a good movie.
But it's a very good movie, and in the end, he realizes that what he wanted, he didn't really expect it to be what it was. He didn't love it as much as he thought he would, and in the end, he does a good thing for Soul 22.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, we have the same 9 as well. We have Ratatouille at 9, both of us.
Did you say you're 10?
Yeah, I said Toy Story, remember?
Oh. Yeah, we both have Ratatouille at 9. It is a bizarre story of, what is his name? I can't remember the character. Not the rat's name, the kid's name.
Oh, the kid's name. I don't remember the kid's name.
Because the rat's name is Remy.
Yeah, Remy.
Remy is a rat, and he's not like other rats because he likes to eat trash. Or he doesn't like to eat trash like all the other rats. He likes actually like good food, and then he learns to cook. And then there's this kid who gets a job and wants to cook, but he can't. So the rat gets inside of his hat and grabs his hair and controls him. It's so bizarre. If you've never seen it, you're so confused and you think that sounds stupid. But it's really good. You need to see it because it's really good. And he cooks the food, and then they find out that the rats are doing it and whatever. They need to make sure that the restaurant doesn't get closed down because if a rat's in there, the restaurant will get closed down. So I'm sorry if I'm shaking a lot. This is uncomfortable. So watch it. It's a must.
Oh.
It's still recording.
Oh.
What? I don't know.
Okay, let's just keep going.
Okay.
Okay. My number 8 is Toy Story 3, which I know is probably controversial for some people because I know Toy Story 3 for some people is higher than that. Mm-hmm. It's more popular, but honestly, I didn't really like the story as much as Toy Story 2 or just Toy Story 4 in general. I didn't like the bad character at all. I can't remember his name now.
Lotso.
I hated him so much in the movie.
That's the goal. They wanted you to hate him.
But I just didn't really like it at all.
My number 8 is
2.
Yeah, Toy Story 2. It's my least favorite Toy Story. You meet Jesse and Bullseye and what's his name? Prospector. Prospector becomes the bad guy in the end. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. She's only seen it once. Because she never gave Toy Story a chance. Just gonna lay that out there.
You said that before.
I know. But yeah, you meet Jesse and you meet the Prospector and Bullseye and everything. And basically, there's this guy who wants to sell Woody because he's a rare toy, and they need to get back to Andy. It's a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good movie. It's definitely it's a great movie, honestly. We're in the top 10. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and my number 7 is Toy Story 2 as well, just because I like that one a lot more than Toy Story 3. I just like the story a lot more in general. So.
Oh.
7.
Number 7 for me is Toy Story. Toy Story 1. You meet Buzz Lightyear. He thinks he's a real space ranger. Most of you have probably seen Toy Story. I don't need to explain it to you. It's a great movie. It's a classic. It's I think is it the first I think it's the first Pixar movie ever made. Yeah, it is, because they made Toy Story in 1995, and then they made A Bug's Life right after that. And Toy Story is it's a classic. I've seen it 1,000 times. It's very good.
Yeah. My number 6 is Monsters, Inc., which is just very nostalgic. I've seen this movie probably 1,000 times. It's a really good story, just about monsters and humans and how it came to be with that type of...
Yep, faux show. Number 6 for me. I know, I've got 3 Toy Story movies right next to each other, but it's Toy Story 4. It's a very good movie. It's a very, very good movie. I remember going to the theater, I remember when Toy Story 4 was announced, and I was like, no. Toy Story 3 was a perfect ending. They don't need to ruin Toy Story 4, but in a way, I was skeptical in Toy Story 4. I was afraid they were going to ruin their streak of, all the movies being good. But Toy Story 4 was really good, and honestly had a more perfect ending, in my opinion, than 3. I don't like 4 as much as 3, as you can tell, but I do really love Toy Story 4, and bringing back Bo Peep is as that strong female character that doesn't feel like she's being shoved down your throat like Cruz Martinez from Cars 3.
Yeah.
She's actually a developed character that we've known from the other movies, and we know what she's capable of. And you could see in the other movies that she's sort of that character, that forceful, dominant or strong female character. So it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Toy Story 4 is really good.
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite Toy Story movie, because it's at number 5 for me. Toy Story 4 is my number 5, just because it's just a really good story, and before that movie, Toy Story 2 was my favorite. I thought it was going to be my favorite, but watching Toy Story 4, it was really good, and the ending was really perfect for the series.
What are we on? 5. Alright, this is the best of the best for me. Number 5 is Monsters, Inc. I've seen it 10,000 times. The story of Sully and Mike being, that ultimate team. And there's just so many iconic quotes in this movie. If you haven't seen Monsters, Inc., what are you doing with your life? Please, go see it. Just go see it. It's so good.
Okay, my number 4 is Cars, which it's just a very nostalgic movie for me. I love the story of it, but it's just not my top tier favorite, but it's a really dang good movie.
Yeah. My number 4 is Toy Story 3. It is my favorite Toy Story movie. They go to the daycare, and Lotso is he takes over the daycare, and we learn the story of Lotso, and we learn the story of just his story and everything. And honestly, it is a sad story. It still ends up being pretty bad for him in the end, which I don't feel bad for him, because he still did really bad things in the movie, and he literally was going to leave them to die, but
yeah.
And he deserves, the punishment he got at the end of the movie, but you still kind of feel bad for him in that moment, when they show what happened to him, even though he became a jerk. So, but Toy Story 3 is an absolute classic for me, and I've seen it more than any other Toy Story movie. I watch all the Toy Story movies 1,000 times, but Toy Story 3 is my favorite. and will always be my favorite.
My number 3 is Soul, which I like it a lot more than you did, mostly just because I love music in general. I'm such a music nerd. That's not even funny. But I just love the story of it. I love how he just dies and goes, like, he tries to escape because he really wants to, like, grow his music career and just be passionate about it, but then he realizes that it doesn't really matter that much to him, which is just, and it matters so much for the girl who actually wants to be alive and that kind of stuff. It's just a good movie, just in general.
Yeah. Number 3 is WALL-E for me. And just like WALL-E is that honestly, it's the only romance besides The Princess Bride that I really like. It just the story of like a robot and what is he, like a trash compactor? And just like the story is so unique. I love WALL-E. It's an absolute gem of a movie. WALL-E's so cute. They're just so cute. The movie's so cute.
It really is.
I know when I say that I sound that's something that a girl would say, but it is. It's a really cute movie. And it's a great love story. I'd rather watch that over some dumb romance movie between a douchey football player and a depressed white girl. but it is WALL-E is a really good movie, and I definitely would watch it again. Because it wasn't the first time I ever watched it. I watched it when I was really young, but it came out when I was very little. Or I was like 2008, and I barely have any memories from that year. I do have memories, but I'm 19, so I was very young at the time.
Yeah.
But I do remember it slightly, but this is my first time watching it and really remembering everything and just appreciating how good it is. Definitely. WALL-E is a really, really good movie.
Yeah. And we have the same number 2. We have Coco at number 2.
Oh.
Which we watched it together the first time, and we're both so shocked.
Yes, we both watched Coco together for the first time. It was our first time watching the movie, and we were shocked about how great it was. We absolutely loved Coco. When I saw commercials for it when it first was coming out, I was like, it doesn't really look that interesting. And then it came out, and never watched it until a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
It's a really good
movie. It is, and I put it above WALL-E, which is it's hard to do, especially because now her number 1. She hasn't
and
put
your number 1.
Yeah. But it's it's such a good movie. Honestly, any day though, you could say WALL-E is better than Coco. I was just so shocked about how good Coco was that I had to put it at my number 2.
Yeah.
The only reason it's not number 1 is because of my nostalgic brain.
Yeah, I know.
For Cars, which is my number 1 favorite Pixar movie of all time. And I know a lot of lists I see have Cars pretty low. Which I don't understand. I love Cars.
I like the story.
It's such a classic. And the other day, whenever we watched it a week or two ago, it had been it was a while. It had been a long time since I've watched it, but I've seen it a lot, and I remember it very well, even from when I was really young. And I watched it again, and I was afraid I wouldn't like it as much, but it was just as good as I remember. It's just the story of Lightning McQueen wanting to win the Piston Cup, and he's a rookie, and he's cocky, and he has to learn humility by going through Radiator Springs, and we learn about, we meet all these great characters, all the characters of Cars I love, even the minor ones, I love those characters, and just everything about the movie makes me smile from ear to ear, because I'm so nostalgic for it, because I watched it when I was little, and I just love it. I love Cars, and I can't put anything else above it. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, WALL-E's my number 1 if you couldn't predict that. I just think it's just slightly better than Coco. I just can't.
WALL-E, that's my thing too. I
just think it's slightly better. It's really good though.
But
I love WALL-E.
It's kind of the same for me though. I think Coco's slightly better than WALL-E. Any day you could put one of them above the other.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's how good they are. But that's our list. Holy crap.
That took forever.
45 minutes. It wasn't quite as long as a Pixar movie. About half the time. Pretty close to half the time. It was going to be one of the longer videos on my channel. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I doubt any of you have stuck around this long. If you did, if you did, thank you. You have a lot of patience. And you must be very bored trying to pass the time somehow. Maybe you're at work or something. I don't know. You're just trying to not focus on work.
Or procrastinating.
Yeah, you're procrastinating by watching a Pixar ranking list.
From us.
It would have taken probably just as long if it was just me, because I ramble about the movies, and you really didn't say too much about it. And I was the one that said we needed to keep it brief.
Yeah, seriously,
and I just
was. No, keep it brief. I'm like, okay, that's fine with me.
And I just went on and on and on. But I just have so much to say. So, thank you guys for watching, and you have anything to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it brief. I love you.
I love you too.